The sun hung high in the sky, casting golden beams over the sprawling city zoo. It was a busy weekend, and families wandered through the lush pathways, their laughter mingling with the occasional roar, squawk, and chatter of the zoo's inhabitants. Among the crowd was a curious little boy named Ethan, barely 6 years old with wide eyes and a restless spirit. His parents, engrossed in taking pictures near the giraffe exhibit, didn't notice when Ethan's fascination was drawn to the lion enclosure nearby. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The lion's habitat was a massive, carefully constructed area that mimicked the African savanna, complete with tall grasses, rocky outcroppings, and a spacious waterhole. The enclosure housed a pride of 5 majestic lions, led by an imposing male with a thick golden mane named Mufasa. Ethan pressed his tiny hands against the glass barrier separating the viewing area from the lions, mesmerized by the sheer power and grace of the animals. But his wonder soon turned to mischief, spotting a small gap between the enclosure's railing and an adjacent viewing platform. Ethan saw what he thought was a perfect little hiding place. Without a second thought, he slipped away from the crowd. His parents' laughter faded into the distance as Ethan crawled under the barrier, driven by the innocent but dangerous belief that he could get a closer look at the magnificent creatures. By the time anyone noticed, it was too late. Ethan, in a moment of carelessness, lost his footing on the loose gravel near the edge of the habitat and tumbled into the enclosure below. Gasps and shouts erupted from onlookers as the little boy landed with a thud, startling the lions lounging in the afternoon sun. A chilling silence fell over the crowd as the gravity of the situation dawned on them. Ethan, dazed and clutching his scraped knee, looked up to find himself surrounded by the enormous beasts. The lions stood still, their piercing eyes fixed on the tiny human who had intruded into their domain. The leader, Mufasa, padded forward with slow, deliberate steps. His golden eyes burned with an intensity that made even the bravest spectators tremble. Ethan's cries for help echoed across the enclosure. His voice was high-pitched and frightened, and every person watching held their breath, expecting the worst. Yet what happened next defied all logic and left everyone stunned. Mufasa stopped mere inches from the boy, his massive frame casting a shadow over Ethan. Instead of attacking, the lion crouched low, lowering his head to the child's level. The crowd gasped as Mufasa nudged Ethan gently with his nose as if inspecting him. Ethan, trembling but too frightened to move, locked eyes with the lion. The interaction was surreal, like something out of a dream, or a miracle. To everyone's astonishment, the other lions began to gather around. They moved with cautious curiosity rather than aggression. A younger lioness, her tawny coat gleaming in the sunlight, approached Ethan and began to nuzzle his side, emitting a soft, almost soothing rumble. The boy's cries subsided into quiet hiccups as the lions surrounded him in what could only be described as a protective circle. The zookeepers, alerted by the commotion, arrived at the scene, their faces pale with panic. They knew the lions' behavior could change in an instant. With tranquilizer guns at the ready, they prepared for the worst, but even the seasoned handlers were baffled by what they saw. The pride's behavior wasn't predatory. It was gentle. Mufasa lay down beside Ethan, his massive paws folded under him as if to shield the boy from harm. The other lions mirrored his demeanor, their powerful bodies relaxed and their movements careful. Ethan, sensing their calm, began to relax too. His small hand reached out almost instinctively and brushed against the lioness's fur. She didn't flinch. The crowd watched in stunned silence, unable to look away. Some filmed the scene with shaky hands, their disbelief evident in whispered commentary. "Are they protecting him?" someone muttered. "This doesn't make sense," said another. As the minutes ticked by, the zookeepers devised a plan to rescue Ethan without startling the lions. They knew that any sudden movement or loud noise could provoke a reaction, so they moved with calculated precision. Meanwhile, Mufasa continued to keep a watchful eye on Ethan, his demeanor both regal and uncharacteristically nurturing. After what felt like an eternity, Mufasa rose to his feet. He gave Ethan one last gentle nudge before stepping aside, allowing Grace to approach. The lioness followed suit, her amber eyes lingering on the boy as if reluctant to part from him. Grace scooped Ethan into her arms, cradling him as she backed away from the pride. The moment Ethan was lifted to safety, a collective cheer erupted from the crowd. Tears streamed down the faces of some onlookers, while others clapped and shouted in relief. Ethan's parents, who had been frantically calling his name, ran to meet him, hugging him tightly as he sobbed into their shoulders. But even as the boy was reunited with his family, the memory of the lion's behavior lingered in everyone's minds. Videos of the incident quickly went viral, sparking heated debates and wild theories. Animal behaviorists and zoologists weighed in, trying to make sense of what had transpired. Some suggested that the lions, sensing the boy's vulnerability, responded with a form of instinctual empathy. Others believed it was a rare example of interspecies compassion. The zoo conducted a thorough investigation, reviewing footage and consulting experts to ensure the safety of both visitors and animals. Yet no one could deny the extraordinary nature of the event. Mufasa and his pride were hailed as heroes, and their actions challenged the world's understanding of the animal kingdom. For weeks after the incident, Ethan would wake up in the middle of the night, clutching his stuffed lion toy and reliving the surreal encounter in his dreams. His parents, though shaken, took solace in the fact that their son had survived an experience that could have ended tragically. Ethan, too young to fully grasp the magnitude of what had happened, would tell anyone who listened about the big lion with kind eyes who had kept him safe. As days passed, the story of Ethan's miraculous encounter with the lions continued to dominate headlines. News outlets worldwide covered the event, and experts debated its implications. The lions, particularly Mufasa, became unexpected celebrities. Visitors flocked to the zoo in record numbers, eager to see the pride that had displayed such remarkable behavior. But for those closest to the incident, Ethan, his family, and the zookeepers, the story was far from over. Ethan's parents, Emily and David, struggled to reconcile their relief with lingering guilt. The terror of nearly losing their son weighed heavily on them. Every time they replayed the moment Ethan slipped through the barrier in their minds, they felt a pang of helplessness. They vowed never to let him out of their sight again, but they also recognized that something extraordinary had happened, something that deserved deeper understanding. For Ethan, the experience left an indelible mark on his young mind. At first, he was reluctant to speak about the event. His parents sought professional help, taking him to a child psychologist to ensure he could process the trauma healthily. To their surprise, Ethan wasn't afraid of lions or zoos. Instead, he spoke with a sense of wonder about the animals that had surrounded him. "The big lion was watching me," Ethan told his therapist during one session. "He wasn't mean. He was kind." The therapist encouraged Ethan's parents to nurture his newfound fascination with lions. Emily and David, though hesitant, began to read books about big cats with him and watched documentaries as a family. Slowly, Ethan's curiosity grew, replacing fear with awe. Meanwhile, the zoo launched an internal initiative to study the pride's behavior more closely. Zookeepers and researchers spent countless hours observing Mufasa and the other lions, documenting every interaction and subtle shift in their habits. They noted that the pride appeared calm and cooperative, exhibiting a level of social cohesion that was unusual even for lions. The team hypothesized that their actions during Ethan's fall were influenced by years of exposure to human presence in the zoo environment, combined with an innate sensitivity to distress signals. Grace, the experienced keeper who had rescued Ethan, became deeply involved in the research. She felt a unique bond with the pride, particularly Mufasa, whose reaction still baffled her. "There's something we don't fully understand yet," she told her colleagues during a meeting. "Their response wasn't just about familiarity with humans, it was deliberate, almost calculated. They chose to protect him." The zoo partnered with leading animal behaviorists and even anthropologists to explore the event from multiple perspectives. One theory suggested that the lions, recognizing Ethan as a child, responded with instinctual caregiving behaviors often observed in their interactions with cubs. Another, more controversial idea proposed that animals, particularly social predators like lions, might possess a form of empathy or emotional intelligence that allowed them to perceive vulnerability across species. The discussion extended beyond the scientific community, sparking philosophical debates. Religious leaders called it a sign of divine intervention, while ethicists pondered what humanity could learn from the event. "Perhaps," one commentator mused during a televised debate, "we underestimate the capacity for understanding in other creatures. If lions can show compassion, what does that say about our responsibilities toward them?" Amid the swirling discussions, the zoo decided to use the incident as a platform for education and conservation. They created a special exhibit dedicated to the pride, highlighting their role in both the wild and captivity. Interactive displays allowed visitors to learn about lion behavior, their role in ecosystems, and the threats they face due to habitat loss and poaching. A portion of the exhibit focused on the remarkable day Ethan fell into their enclosure, emphasizing the mystery and beauty of interspecies connections. Ethan and his family were invited to the exhibit's grand opening. The little boy, now more confident and animated, was thrilled to see life-size images of Mufasa and his pride adorning the walls. A special plaque recounted the story, framing it as a testament to the power of understanding between humans and animals. The opening was attended by media outlets, conservationists, and local dignitaries. Grace gave a heartfelt speech about her experience with the lions, emphasizing the importance of protecting and respecting wildlife. "We have so much to learn from them," she concluded, her voice filled with emotion. "And it's our responsibility to ensure they have a future." Ethan, standing with his parents, was presented with a small commemorative medal. When asked if he wanted to say anything, he shyly approached the microphone. "Thank you to the lions," he said softly. His words met with warm applause. "They were my friends." The story continued to ripple outward, inspiring people in unexpected ways. Artists painted vivid portraits of the pride, capturing the tenderness in their eyes as they encircled Ethan. Writers penned poetry and essays reflecting on the incident, using it as a metaphor for harmony and coexistence. Even musicians composed songs inspired by the encounter, their melodies carrying a sense of wonder and reverence. Beyond the cultural impact, the event had tangible effects on conservation efforts. Donations to lion preservation programs surged, and awareness campaigns gained traction. People who had never given much thought to wildlife conservation began to see lions, and animals in general, in a new light. The Pride, once just another zoo exhibit, became a symbol of something much larger. Ethan's family, too, embraced this shift in perspective. They began volunteering with local conservation groups, organizing school visits to educate children about wildlife. Ethan, now a little older and more articulate, often spoke to his classmates about his experience. "Lions aren't just scary," he would say. "They're amazing." Back at the zoo, life within the Pride continued, albeit with heightened attention. Mufasa, as ever, was the stoic leader, his presence commanding and dignified. The younger lions, including the lioness who had nuzzled Ethan, remained playful and curious. Grace and her team noted subtle changes in their behavior. They seemed more attentive to the keepers, as if the incident had deepened their awareness of the humans who cared for them. The Pride also became a case study in the evolving relationship between humans and captive animals. Researchers published papers analyzing their behavior, proposing new theories about the emotional lives of predators. Their findings influenced zoos worldwide, prompting changes in how animals were housed, cared for, and understood. As the years went by, the memory of Ethan's fall into the lion enclosure remained vivid, both for those who had witnessed it and those who heard the story later. But for Ethan himself, it became more than a memory. It was a cornerstone of his identity. He grew into a thoughtful, inquisitive teenager with a deep passion for wildlife. His room was adorned with posters of lions, books about African ecosystems, and a framed photo of Mufasa taken by one of the zookeepers. Ethan's parents marveled at how the event had shaped their son's trajectory. "It's as if he was meant to have that experience," Emily often said, her voice tinged with awe. "It's part of who he is now." By the time Ethan turned 16, he had already decided on his future. He wanted to become a wildlife biologist, dedicating his life to studying and protecting big cats. He wrote essays about the importance of coexistence, drawing on his own story to illustrate the need for empathy and understanding. The zoo, still a central part of Ethan's life, welcomed him as a volunteer during his summer breaks. Grace, now retired but still a frequent visitor, was thrilled to see the young boy she had rescued blossoming into a passionate advocate for animals. Together, they often walked the paths near the lion enclosure, sharing memories and discussing the importance of preserving the natural world. Mufasa, now an elder statesman of the Pride, continued to inspire awe. Though his movements had slowed with age, his presence remained as commanding as ever. Ethan often stood by the enclosure, watching the lion who had once saved him. "Thank you," he would whisper, a quiet acknowledgement of the bond they shared. In time, Ethan's story became part of a larger narrative, a reminder of the interconnectedness of life on Earth. It showed that even in the most unexpected moments, there is room for compassion, understanding, and awe. And though the lions could not speak, their actions spoke volumes, echoing across generations as a testament to the extraordinary capacity for connection that exists between humans and animals. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on how the animals reacted to the little boy? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.